Okay, welcome to this next tutorial, the second tutorial. First one was overview, what is DZ golf course template Georgia package includes. And now if you want to make your own project golf course, how you gonna do it? Well, we will go through uh, when you do everything from the beginning, but I would recommend not doing that, but if you want to, we will go it through. And we split it to two tutorials. First one, we're gonna show how you, in this tutorial, how you set up the landscape and the layers. And in the next one, on the last tutorial, how you will use the splines and PCG graphs and blueprint actors and so on to get the course done. Okay, first I would recommend just opening this map and using this as your template, because there is many things here that you need. You can just delete the decals. You can keep the lighting. No, nothing will change there unless you want to. PCG graphs, you need all these graphs, so they are already there and adjusted so that they will not generate. They only generate on demand and so on. And when you start from the beginning, they will start immediately generating unless you change this. So you can keep these PCG graphs. Uh, you need also this RVT landscape mask. You need to add a runtime virtual texture volume, and there you need to have, and this is the volume, and there you will need to have this under the textures. That's it, golf course textures RVT. You will have this mask, and here it is, and it's assigned to landscape, and you can set the bounds for it. So if you don't have this, your landscape will be transparent, but so you will need this also. Splines, you can delete all the splines because you will make a new one for your own project. You can delete all the static meshes because you want to spawn your own, but you can leave the folders here because I think it's good to have them. Maybe do some folders under the static meshes also, or if you want to have more organized project. Okay, T markers, of course you can delete these, but you can leave the folder as well. Water, leave at least the folder, and you can maybe use leave one lake and one river, because then you can easily check our settings. For example, this water body lake, you will see that it's quite in the end. The water material is not the same one. It's not. We have copied the Epic's material and made our own mod. So when you just add water from here, it will use the default values, and the water will be looking very different. But anyhow, of course, it depends on what course you're making, and you want to maybe adjust the water yourself. But anyhow, also the river, water material is changed for the river also a little bit. We have made the copy because if we use the Epix one and then you update your engine, and then it updates the water and the water will change. That's why we have made the copy. Okay. And wind, you also need this wind. This is the Epic's own wind. You add here. Wind directional source. You need that. And this wind is our own wind control. It's under the DZ common folder, blueprints, BP wind controller. You need to add it into your map and so on. I will go through this, but there's so many things you will need. So I would only delete the unnecessary parts and then use the same landscape. Just give a maybe you no well you import the new landscape or use this one. Well, I have deleted those parts. Maybe you need to import a new one, but anyhow, you can use this project as a template. It gives you all the necessary things. But if you if you don't want to do it and you want to start everything from the beginning and know how everything works, then you will add new level from here, and you will save level as, and then you will have a map here. I'm not gonna add new level here. I just try to make this a little bit more quicker. These tutorials seem to take more time than I would hope to. Okay, so I will use the same landscape. Now you see this is the whole landscape. I have already imported it, but I will go through the process. So when you add a new level, you can take this basic, and when you take the basic, you will have a floor and a player start here. You can erase the player start point, or you can keep it also, but take the floor off. Okay, just delete it. Then you have basically everything looking like this, except I have something already here, and there is basically it looks like this. There's nothing. And you go to the landscape mode, and manage, and new, import from file, or create new. If you want to uh, if you don't want to import anything, you just create new and decide what size landscape you want to have. But that's one option. And then you paint everything, you sculpt the landscape and do the splines. That's all right. You can do everything here. But we have done it by importing the file, and here we specify from where we want to download it from, and we have height map, and height map must be this kind. I will go through it later. Why this resolution? Because okay, our landscape is that resolution, and how do I get this kind of? No, well, I can't go through everything, but I try to explain the basics. Okay, but here you will decide what you download, and material you should find from here. Landscape material and instance, and you choose this material instance landscape, mi landscape, and you select here, and after you have selected this height map, it will show you the resolutions and so on, and then you import. And just a word of warning: when you import, you don't see, you see nothing. You should see normally, but because you're using this material, you will not see anything. And that's because our landscape is masked. We need to make holes in the landscape for golf, and we want to. That's not the main reason. Main reason is that we want to hide the landscape under the roads and stuff. So you need to add a virtual texture. Sorry, runtime. Runtime virtual texture volume. You need to adjust, add that to your project, and then you can select the landscape and set bounds. And here at the virtual texture, you must select this under the textures RVT. You select this, and voila, you will see your landscape. Of course, it's still gray or a black looking kind of thing. So it's not what you want to see, but just, you need to adjust it a little bit. Okay, sorry, I'm just checking my notes here. Okay, you will have the dark landscape, and you need mm, do modifications to your material. You need to add mm, here. You need to add this layer infos for every single layer. You press plus and weight blended layer, and you save it under the maps. Or that's if you you have saved your level in some name, and under the maps it will give this kind of folder, and here is where you will save those info, landscape layer infos. So press the plus button with every layer and save weight blended layers here. We only support 5.6 version of Unreal Engine at this time because they have changed the landscape layer blend settings, and I think there's little bug. It's not working, even though they say they have this. How do you say? No, well, this old version. This old classic style blending the landscape layers, but well, it's not working the same way. So let's go on. Okay, now you have the layers, but you need also lighting to be correct. You need a directional light. In our package, we have used a little bit more intensive lighting, and you must add this post-process volume from here, and no big changes there. We have adjusted this exposure min and max to 1. Maybe in the original project there is some little bit other changes, maybe lens flare or something, but that's not important. Also, post-processing eye adaptation, we have disabled that. And skylighting, you can put the intensity scale 2 or 3. Now it's 3 in here, but it's about the same. and these come by default. So nothing special in this. But you need to have this runtime virtual texture volume to get the landscape looking normal gray and maybe dark after, but when you add those layer infos, it will be gray. So after that, you will be able to paint. You will be able to paint on this landscape. Okay, so the basic settings should be there. Okay, I check my notes. Yeah, the 5.6 is the we support only that. This is if you want to migrate it to 5.7 after doing all the landscape stuff, it totally works. Only thing I would recommend to do in project settings is in 5.7, if you type lumen in 5.7, this is active, and you should disable this because you get 20 frames more, and there is nothing affects the quality, so you, it runs as the same FPS as in this version. So use hardware ray tracing when available. Just uncheck this and you're good to go in 5.7. But the landscape layer painting isn't working the same way at the moment. So do all the landscape stuff, then you can migrate to 5.7. Okay. Uh, okay, then I would. This is very important. The landscape scaling. Because when you import the landscape, it will be, if you're importing, for example, like this 8K, this landscape is 8,129 meters wide. And that's not probably what we wanted. Golf course is never that that big. So we need to scale it as well as the height. So you need to understand I just need to take my real values. Okay, you need to get the right scale. You need to take the actual size, and my actual size is a little bit hard because it was 1,800 meters, but because I wanted to get the right resolution, I have a little bit cropped the image. So my right length is that. So, and you go to calculator, and here is my in meters, very accurate one, the width and the length, and then I divide it with the resolution of the landscape, which is 8129, 8129, which is this, and we want to see the full percentages. We just multiply it by 100, and here it is, and you can see it's the same. This a little bit rounds it, but anyhow, it's still very accurate. So this is the way you get the scale. If your landscape is bigger than the resolution in meters, then this is over 100. If it's smaller, it's under 100. Then you will know you're doing things right. Okay, and the height you will get by dividing the real height of the landscape. You divide it by 512, and I'm not. It's 256 times 2 is 512, and that's kind of a 2 8-bit height together. It has a 16-bit height map, but well, Epic's landscape is always scaled to kind of 512 meters, and if your landscape is not that high, then you know that this percent must be less than 100, and if it's over 512, it must be over 100. So this landscape's height is 110. It's not really 510, it's only 58 meters. But this landscape's height map is not from pure white to pure black. So its scale, the scale of the larger landscape, and this is part of the larger landscape. So the height map's whole scale is 110, and that is what you want to use. Okay, so we put if you're using, for example, global mapper, you will see the total height, and that's what you're gonna probably need to use if you want to get it right. 510 divided by 512 times 100. Okay, so you will see it matches. And if you're not doing this perfectly, and the location still, this is probably not in the 000, you can change this value if you want to get it higher or lower, depending on if you if it's too low or something, you can adjust this. But this should be 000 because we are using, you want to use the satellite overlay image to make things. And if you want that to match to your landscape, you need to have the position right and this scaling right. Others, it will not work. Okay, now we have the landscape. We need to move forward. I check my okay notes. Ah, yes. So we need to import this height map, and we also want to import the satellite image. We need it in many things. So I will just show them to you. I have already opened my satellite image here in the Photoshop, and I also want to show you this height map. If you export, for example, Unity raw height map from Global Mapper, you will get the format is .raw. When you use it in the Unreal Engine, you need to change it to .r16, but it doesn't work immediately because Global Mapper exports Mac format, and Unreal Engine imports Windows format. So the Windows format is basically, the difference is that these two channels are upside down. You only need to change, this will be here, this is like a Mac format. When you come, you see the, height map that makes sense to you. When you open the Windows format, it will be like this, and you maybe wondered why it looks so weird. There's nothing wrong with it. These are just upside down, and this is alpha 1 and this is alpha 2 then, and I have only changed this being alpha 1 and this is being alpha 2. I don't know if the naming has any meaning, but anyhow, this is the way it should be. And from Global Mapper you can export the height map in 4K resolution. I have more resolution and I have done it by exporting it tiled. There's two columns and two rows in my export, so it have four 4K resolution height maps, and I have merged them together here in Photoshop and made one height map, and then at the end I have cropped it a little to get it to the resolution that is 1 8129. It's in the name, but you can also look the size. You can see. Now it's the same resolution as your landscape, and it needs to be the same resolution, otherwise it don't work. But remember this, and then when you have changed these, if you use Global Mapper, for for example, then you will save this as raw file, and you save, don't change anything, and you will get this kind of. Then you will need to change the file extension to R16, and that is compatible with Unreal Engine. Of course, if you have another way, just do how you like. PNG also is a supported format. I have used this one. Okay, and you saw that this height map, I'm sorry, satellite image is I have in the name I have added this resolution. This is a normal 8K resolution, 8192, and I have also cropped this image, and this height map is always rotated 180 degrees, rotated, not flipped. So this river here is turned to this side, and this is the way it should be if you when you import it to Unreal Engine. This needs to be 180 degrees turned around. So be careful when you crop the images to get the resolution you want this to this 8129, and you crop from the different sides to the different corners. Okay. And to the next thing. Now we have the satellite image, and now we have the height map. So I'm not going to go into the global mapper and stuff like that, but I will show you. You need the layer infos if you want to import all the fairways and greens and bunkers and so on. I have a little bit modified this satellite image. I have just used a brush tool to paint a little bit these bunkers to so that they are about white, not all is, but so I can use this, and then I have done same with greens, but they're different color. So when I use this magic wand tool and set the tolerance to maybe about with the bunkers maybe about 50 and continues, it doesn't mean it if you if I select this, it doesn't select all at the same time, because if I try to select all at the same time, it does it, but you can see it it picks many more points also. So you probably don't want to use that. You want to click them, you're holding the shift down, and you're just selecting these bunkers like this. So do some modification. Now you see it didn't make this perfectly right, and you can have trouble. So try to adjust this so that it works. And Control Z, of course, you can, if something goes wrong, you can. Okay. Then when you have selected all the bunkers with the right tolerance and so on, you just press Control C, you copy this, and do the same workbook. You just press Control and V, and there you have it. Now you have bunkers here. So how you gonna make this as a alpha mask texture to import it to the layer, landscape layer? Well, it's not too difficult. You still use magic wand. You put the tolerance to 0. You select all this. Then you will select the black color and you paint and you check, okay, your brush is as big as it gets. And then you just paint this other area to black. Here you change the color to the white and select. Now the select is inverse. So now I'm painting inside the bunkers, total white. Okay, and then I want to see what kind of quality I got, and hmm, it's not too bad. But I don't want to see this kind of edges in Unreal Engine. So what will I do? What can I do to make it better? There is few options. And when I do this kind of magic wand stuff, I almost always use some noise reduction. You go, for example, to this dust. For example, if you compare it a little bit changes, what is the right value? Maybe 4, 3, 4 is maybe good. And after this, do some blurring because it really improves the plan. Don't do too much. Just 2 pixels. It's enough. Don't do more. And this is kind of a texture. With a little tweaking in Photoshop, you will get these bunkers selected in no time. So you will have the bunker textures imported very quickly. But if you want those bunker lips and everything be correctly, you need to spline them in the Unreal Engine, and it requires some work, but it's a simple work, and the modeling mode splining is very good, so no problem. Okay, now we have this texture ready, so then we save it as. Oh, sorry, I forgot one thing. Because this has been done by this satellite image, now it's wrong resolution, so you have to first make this 8129 and then press OK. I don't do it now. I want to change it. And then you save as PNG and give a right name. You just don't, of course, save this. You can delete this background or whatever. You only want to save, of course, it only saves this active layer here. Okay, you give it a name and then you have your first alpha mask texture. Okay, so now I cancel. And then you do exactly the same with the greens. Nothing more, and we don't go it through. You just select the tolerance that is working for you. Sorry, 50 was maybe way too much. What is it? It's working weirdly. Did I have something already selected? Hmm. Sometimes hard to understand. Sorry, always the same reason. Wrong layer selected, of course, delete that layer. And now we're back here, so sorry. Then just shift press down and you collect the screens and make the same kind of alpha mask textures as from bunkers. So maybe quite easily you get the greens and bunkers, not always, But you need sometimes you need to make splines and just use those splines to create these mask textures. But as you see, this is very complex to model because this is one big fairway. Only this hole and this hole are separate fairways. So that's not the normal case. Normally you have always rough and fairway and so on surrounding the hole, and they're kind of separated from each other. That's the most normal case. But here in this course from Georgia, this is quite difficult splining, but you need to always figure out how you do it and what is the layer you will fill the landscape first and what are the layers you will import. So you will have to use your own brains how you're gonna do it. But if I show you the textures I have used, for example, this is the fairway layer, and there's missing something, but this needs some splining. It's it's not too easy. But you just have to figure out yourself how you're gonna do it. But anyhow, now you understand that all the other stuff you have shadows and stuff. So this kind of just selecting isn't possible. But with bunkers and greens, many times it is. And if you a little bit help, like I have done with the brush tool, so it's easy. But then if you don't, Inkscape, I think it's a free software, and so you can use Inkscape. It draws lines. What did I do? Well, I don't know. No worry. Everything isn't going like I wanted, but it never does. So select this draw Bezier curves and straight lines, and then select this. And now you have this uh, you open your satellite image and then you add another layer, and this above is good. And now you have selected the right tool, and you can test the tool by clicking points, and as you can see it draws a nice spline. So okay, it works. And now when you have this image open, you can zoom heavily and start doing the splining. So for example, I'm just doing very some raw stuff here. If you have having like rough area, oh, sorry, like this, now that would be a rough area. And now you have a we we pretend that you have splined all the rough areas, and now you need to do the mask of rough layers. Then you need to go to export PNG image, and don't select this selection because it only export this and you cannot align it with your other textures. So either drawing or page and disable this, and you will see you will have width and height the same, but of course you will want to use the 8129 resolution and then where to export it and so on. But I'm not going to do you choose here the bat and then you export, and after that you will have this kind of spline image. You don't first, you kind of doesn't see anything because it's so accurate and thin the line, but here you have it. This is your rough, and now we pretend that you have all the roughs here. So the same way, you just take the magic wand tool, take the tolerance to 0, select all outside, and then start painting all the outside area with black. Now all your roughs would be white and all the outside of the rough area would be black. Then you just change this upside down. You select inverse, you just white, and then you have it. And now you see it does very nice quality. So it doesn't need any noise reduction, only needs the little blur. So you go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, just 2 pixels, okay. And this will give you quite nice results in Unreal Engine. And after this, you save PNG file. You see it's the right resolution as we adjusted in the Inkscape, so it's good. And this is the kind of texture you will import to Unreal. And same with the fairways, same with maybe greens, what you want to import. The painting also works quite nicely in Unreal Engine when you have those blend settings correct and you have enough resolution. But when you import the 8K resolution height map, you have many unnecessary parts there. Just delete them and create an outer terrain with the low resolution. Okay. So now we have gone through what you need. You will need the satellite image later on, and you will need the height map and those layer info textures. So you kind of have this is a no, we have I have made it before. It's kind of rough texture, and then the semi-rough, and fairway, and green, and bunkers. So when you have those, you need to decide. Okay, the most outer parts. Of course, you fill the landscape with one layer, and then you have to choose in which order you should import, because this is the first, and then this imports inside of it, and this imports inside of this, and a little bit outside also, but this is on top of this, and green is in top of the fairway. Sorry. And then the bunkers are in the rough, so it doesn't matter in which order you import those, but sorry, misclick. Okay, back to Unreal. So when you have imported this, all your stuff, and you see that there is unnecessary parts, you don't want to have all this. So then you go, I want to make this a little bit more performant, so I don't want to have this accuracy landscape if I don't need it. What you can do is go to landscape, manage, delete, and you set brush big enough so you can, no, let's make camera faster. You can start deleting all the unnecessary stuff, and you can just adjust the brush size. Then you can even make it leave it a little bit marginal, but then use the outer terrain. But we need to have quite accurate terrain or landscape, whatever you want to call it. Okay, So just to demonstrate how it's done. That okay, you have them there. You don't want to show. Of course, I want to show it to you. Go to landscape again. You don't, because you don't have anything at this point. So you have pressed the plus button and you have weight layers, and now you need to fill it with this. Now we are in the paint, and we want to fill. We take this E layer and we will fill. It takes a little bit time because this is a large terrain. Okay, and what I can do is hide the PCG stuff I have already made. So, okay. Now you should have something like this. You have your own landscape and own landscape size and stuff, but you have filled layer. Now, what we gonna do? Okay, we can't import anything here. We need to go to the manage. We need to go to the import, and many times you will have this like this. Just open these layers. And this is the place where you can import these files we made. So first we want rough, it's the D layer. And then we go here and take the rough and we open it and we import it. And because it's the same resolution as this landscape resolution here, 8129, it imports it and it's in the PNG format. Okay, rough, nice. Then take semi-rough, import. I try to go this process quickly, but I want to show it to you that you see there's nothing too difficult in this. Fairway, open, import. Maybe you say, why don't you choose all and import at the same time? Because I want to be sure that it imports it the right order. And now you can see this semi-rough is here, the line. So we need to have this on top of it. Okay, and then green, open, import. Just wanted to see what it imports. Okay, green is also there, and then we are missing the bunker. Okay, let's use this and open the bunkers. Import here. And when all the painting is this is done, and you see where the course is, then you do the deleting the unnecessary parts. If you have a very high resolution landscape, we don't want to have unnecessary parts in too high resolution. Okay, okay, that's it. It's doing fine. In in 1 minute or 2 minutes we can get the same as we had. Then we make this smaller and hmm, I'm not start to delete it here. It's very fast and straightforward process. But what I'm gonna do is go to the smaller landscape where I have done the delete. I have deleted already, and I have something more already here. But I will show you how it's done. No worries. So you can see it's smaller. Mm, but basically not very much changed. Something is different. Yeah. Okay. Last time I said delete unnecessary parts. Now because this is only a tutorial and I want to demonstrate, so we have a little bit smaller landscape. Basically, mm, I think it's good to stop here because it's the next tutorial to go through the PCG and the splining and how it works and how we get this kind of result, and we will add more to this and we will go through how this is done, and we will add also water and so on, and go through how this pin position is made and so on. But as you can see, you can have plenty of trees, stuff, it's running smoothly, no problem. But when you have, there's grass also. This camera is quite fast. Grass is already here, punker lips are already here, and so on. So now we have set up the landscape, and we will, in the next tutorial, we will continue from here. Thank you very much for watching this, and see you in the third tutorial, and then you can do the golf course using this template. Okay. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.